Welcome once again to another episode of the Body and Mind Podcast. This time, it's time to hit the ice. And not just to cover a bruise on your face, but
not just for mix.
Yeah, no, to skate on and score on. It's hockey time.
Hockey!
So we are here with a great Canadian pastime. The NHL is back, and we're doing our 2018 NHL preview show. Right here, right now.
Right at this moment.
Your favorite wrestling arena, cleverly disguised as a hockey arena. So we're going to cover all four divisions, and we're going to break down every single team. All 32 of them? I don't know. I can't remember how many teams there are in hockey. But there we go.
You're correct. 31?
31?
It's an odd number.
That's madness.
That's odd.
We need expansion.
We need one more team.
I wonder if we can find one.
Possibly.
I hear a certain team that lost their basketball team a few years ago in the Great Northwest might be looking for a team.
Victoria?
No, not Victoria.
Spokane?
No. It's not Oregon.
Aberdeen?
No, not Portland. No.
Seattle.
Cha-ching. To the chagrin of Quebec City, looks like Seattle is going to be our next joiner in the National Hockey League. So, yay. Finally, Vancouver can have somebody to play with. So, here we go. Before that happens, let's focus on the here and the now.
The current.
Let's start.
The modern.
Let's start in the Eastern Conference, the modern, yeah. With the most modern and most horribly named division, the Metropolitan division. They all suck, but this one, for me, has an extra layer of suck on top of the suck cake that the other ones live under.
How can you have a Metropolitan division with two state teams?
In the minds of NHL scheduling, this makes sense.
Yes.
So, in the good old Metro, we have Carolina, Islanders, Columbus, Washington, Jersey, Pittsburgh, Philly, and the Rangers. Let's start with the friendly skies of Carolina Hurricanes. What do you think for this team?
Well, let's start. Goaltending looks like a question. Looks like there's...
Goaltending definitely a question.
Oh yeah, it's questionable to say the least.
Because Dodling was supposed to be the Dodling of this team. Instead, not quite.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of gave him the starter's job last year, and he did a classic Ric Flair faceplant.
Some decent young talent for good defenseman. I'll tell you what actually concerns me is more the future of this franchise, even though we're doing a season preview. With the new principal owner, we have a new president GM in Don Waddell.
Oh, yeah?
Previously the GM of the Atlanta Thrashers.
Yeah, that's true.
Rick Dudley, senior vice president of hockey operations. Didn't he used to be at the Thrashers?
Yes, he was.
Ooh, this is a quality top-down move, and I mean that in the most sarcastic way possible.
Yeah, that part is, is concerning. The one thing
they weren't horrible, but they weren't that good either.
The one thing that Carolina does have is they have some really promising young players.
Mm-hmm. As long as this organization doesn't screw it up and they could actually take advantage of it.
Yeah, because on forward they got Sebastian Aho, also Teravainen, the new rookie, this year's number 2 draft, I think he was, Shvetnikov. On defense, they've got Slavin.
Teravainen?
Yeah, good old Teuvo Teravainen there. On defense, they got Jakub Slavin.
You just wanted to say that, didn't you?
I love that name, Jakub Slavin. And Justin Falk, who's supposed to be their quarterback guy. And a newly acquired guy from Calgary, too.
Dougie Hamilton would be a good addition there.
Yeah, so...
I think they have a very good defensive, a very good blue line to them.
That's the thing. They have a blue line that has a lot of scoring promise. The management, I guess that's a question mark, whether Waddell and Dudley have learned from the past.
Because they weren't horrible in Atlanta, but if they're given a head start, maybe they could take advantage of it, and they have some decent young talent in Carolina. I don't see a big year this year for them. I think they're looking more at the future, because realistically, this is a tough division. As bad as the name is.
Yeah, it is a horrible name. But, I mean, the goaltending is definitely a big matzo ball out there.
Oh, yes, it is.
If somehow I think if this team can get just average goaltending, they will make the playoffs.
The question is, can they even get average goaltending?
There's the crux of it. Mm-hmm. All right, well, that's Carolina. How about the New York Islanders?
This year, partially back on the island again, where they belong.
Yeah, no kidding. They're playing half the games, or like a dozen games or so in Nassau County Coliseum, and the other half in the Barclays Center. Mm-hmm. Good for them for at least trying to get back into a hockey arena and leaving the basketball arena alone.
The all too cozy confines.
Yeah. So I guess the big question with this team is the big loss of John Tavares, losing him to free agency to the evil Toronto Maple Leafs. Their biggest acquisitions would be their new coach and GM.
Yeah, the off-ice acquisitions, I think, bodes really well for their future. This year, it's going to be interesting, though. Like, Lamoriello and Trotz will be great additions. I think a lot of it's going to be, like, how does a guy like Matthew Barzal step up? Mm-hmm. Now he's the number one guy.
Right.
Does that really detract him, or some people actually do step up and it doesn't affect them when they're the number one guy? And just the culture that Lamoriello and Trotz are going to bring. It's going to be really interesting to see how it affects this team, too.
And this team does have, like, I think a lot of just good young players as well. Mm-hmm. Like on defense, you also got Pulak as an up-and-coming offensive defenseman. And on forwards, like they got Anders Lee, who's now their captain. Now they've announced him, mm-hmm. And they still have some gritty guys like Andrew Ladd, who, if he can step up his game a little bit, contribute a little bit more. Mm-hmm. The loss, with some of the young guys, the loss of Tavares may not be as devastating.
No, you got Jordan Eberle. Even a guy like Leo Komarov, good grit role player. It's not going to add you much for scoring, but it'll give you some leadership and grit.
Yeah.
Though this team, much like Carolina, goaltending, an issue.
Yep. Huge issue. Like
much more questionable in Carolina. Carolina, I can at least say questionable. Maybe they can become average.
Yeah.
The only hope here for them is if Thomas Greiss kind of regains his status from a couple of years ago. Or so.
Yeah, kind of like his San Jose Shark form. Yeah. Yeah, these guys, I don't know about playoffs.
No, but I think the future is bright. But yeah.
I think so too. How about we move to the place where America began, Columbus, Ohio. How about the Blue Jackets? We have a couple of angry players threatening to leave the team in forward Panarin and goalie Bob.
Goalie Bob. I haven't heard that since the days of another goalie Bob.
Oh, yes.
Bob Essenza back in the 90s for the Jets. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. This one's goalie Bobrovsky.
Goalie Bobrovsky. It's going to be interesting. Does this team I think a lot of it's going to go on the course of how this team goes this year. Mm-hmm. I think if they stay really competitive and they think they have a shot, they just try to ride through with those guys and see what they can do. Mm-hmm. If it looks like a disappointing year, I think they're looking to see what they do at the trade deadline to build for next year.
That's where I think that Columbus needs to get an answer from both these guys. Because, I mean...
I kind of think they know their answer, at least from Panarin.
Well, yeah, for him it seems like it's a done deal, that he's going no matter what. Because he wants the shiny lights of New York. Mm-hmm. So with him, I would almost think it's like, okay, well, don't waste any time. Just trade him now. And Bobrovsky, I guess he's like the bigger one, quite frankly, because Vezina type goalie, those you want to keep forever.
Yes. So
that would be one where I'm sure they're trying everything they can to convince him to stay. But given that this team, by most people, think that they have a legitimate shot at making some noise in the playoffs, mm-hmm. It's a rough situation that they're in. that they have two of their biggest stars. Potentially, they're going to have to trade them in a year in which they actually have a shot.
Or do you just roll the dice and try to keep them if you think you have a shot?
Thing is, I don't think they have a shot.
Neither do I. I think they make noise but not win a cup. And the other thing is, I'm not trying to be cruel to Columbus, but it's one of those cities where I just don't see you attracting the free agents to replace them either.
Like I say, it all depends. Like everybody wants to go to the winner. So I mean, if you can prove that you've got a winning program and you've got a shot at winning everything, then people are going to flock there. Regardless of anything else.
That's true, but when they want either the bright lights or the winner. They're not the bright lights, and if they lose those two guys, they're even two more steps away from being the winner we don't think they are now. So there goes both those.
So, to be seen. The instability is causing us pause. Where there is no pause was Washington.
Woo! I was expecting, well, we're about a week into the season, a couple games.
Yeah.
I figured they would have a letdown. No, they just came out firing.
Yeah, they basically left the monuments and swimming in the pool, in the monument pools and everything, and dried themselves off and started their run for Cup number 2.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody's back.
Except for Tom Wilson and his forced vacation.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be an every year thing, I think.
Stop drilling people in the head.
But basically, Washington, no significant losses this year. Basically the same team. So yes, Cup number 2 coming.
Possibly. I wouldn't write them off.
Neither would I. Their biggest question mark, of course, though, is the coaching. Because we have a brand new rookie coach in Washington now, in Reardon, Todd Reardon.
Yeah, and he was pretty hyped up.
Yep.
And a lot of those up-and-coming coaches who get hyped up don't live up to expectations. But I don't want to judge him yet. Maybe he does.
Well, given the fact that he's literally following a guy who won the Stanley Cup. So pretty much anything below that technically is a failure.
Yes.
Thanks, Tom. Welcome to the NHL. How about we go to the Garden State? Jersey!
Nothing says Metropolitan Division like Jersey and Carolina.
Doesn't it? Cross-state rivals.
State.
Good old Devils. They surprised many last year. Not us, but many. Who we actually thought the Devils were actually going to make some noise and be better than people thought.
Fast, young, promising.
That's what we said. And this year, it looks like more of the fast, young, promising, even more promising. Or not. What do you think?
Ooh, you know what, with this team, I could see him staying about the same because it's really hard to build off what they did last year. Sometimes you want to avoid that step back. So I don't know if they're going to take a step forward, but I think they'll be about the same as last year. And just not taking a step back when you're building like that can be a huge step sometimes.
Okay. So playoff potential is there again.
I believe so.
All right. Yeah, I believe the same. I think the same thing. Just slow and steady. I think everybody will just get just a little bit better.
Yeah.
Heischer, Butcher, all the rest of them, even Severson, the evil demon Severson.
He said that with as if you despise saying it.
Well, it's like he with his name alone means he belongs to the Devils, Demon Severson.
The Devils.
The Devils. So that's what we think of the Devils. It's like staying the course.
Yes, staying the course. That's a good way of putting it.
Another team who former two-time Stanley Cup champion, well, recent two-time Stanley Cup champion, Pittsburgh Penguins. Though I think they have, four to their names now?
I believe it's 4.
Yeah. So
hold on a moment. So there was the 2 in a row, right?
Yeah.
2 in a row with Lemieux, and then the one other one they won separately. I believe it's 5.
Oh, my goodness. They're even better than I thought. So, yeah, you're a five-time Stanley Cup champion, Pittsburgh Penguins. So obviously Crosby and Geno Malkin there, the 1-1.
You're 1-1A.
The 1-1, two top centers,
and then Brassard even gives you a solid third center.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, and that's not all. They also Phil Ketzel's there, youngster Gunsel.
Mm-hmm.
So this team forward.
The young prospect Sprong.
Love the name.
Yeah.
Love the name. Sprong!
High expectations for him to score.
And even on defense, they've got some good defenders there. Like obviously Chris Letang is their big offensive defenseman.
Jim Johnson now?
Uh-huh.
Or Jack Johnson, I don't know what I call him.
Oh, Jack, yeah. The man's still trying to get back his $15 million that his father stole from him. Yeah, it's bad enough.
That never fails to blow my mind. And Matt Cullen returns. Father time back in Pittsburgh.
Yay! That's enough of this Minnesota thing. Let's go back to Pittsburgh where we were happy.
Because we won. And like you said, if you win, they will come.
They will come. Obviously, the big issue in Pittsburgh all of a sudden is in goal. Because Matt Murray has now been hit with another concussion. Starting goalie Matt Murray in concussion in practice just the other day. So now it's kind of unknown when he'll be back.
Glad I didn't make that trade in my pool.
I was thinking that. I figured, we got to be pretty happy.
Oh, yeah.
So that is, as with anything, that's the big question mark now for Pittsburgh is, will their backup be good enough to keep this thing going until Murray can get back?
Well, Tristan Jarry played pretty well last year, but now he has to do it for a longer haul. So can he repeat his success?
Yeah.
And can he go for, because I'm thinking it could be a pretty long haul. And even if Murray's back sooner, there's no guarantee he's not going to get another concussion or dinger later.
Yeah.
So that's going to be, a lot's going to fall on his shoulders.
Yeah, so I think no matter what, they're still making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Goalie, no goalie, us playing goal, I don't think it matters.
It just affects how far they go in the playoffs.
That's right. How about we stay in the same state?
Philadelphia?
Yeah, let's go to Philly.
The city of brotherly love? Where they hate everybody?
Lots of love in Philadelphia. The home of the Broad Street Bullies. Grrr!
The home of people who boot Santa Claus.
He had it coming that year.
Yeah, he actually did. The whole story kind of did. I think he showed up drunk.
That'll do it. Fans are probably angry because he's probably more sauce than they were.
It was all about jealousy.
So Philly.
The same city where they booed like 3 or 4 comedians in a row, and then Bill Burr came out and roasted the city for 12 minutes and won them over.
That's how you do it in Philly. You gotta prove yourself.
Pretty much.
Just like the Flyers. Last year they started to prove themselves. What about this year?
I don't know what it is. When I look at this team on paper, it's like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And yet something in my gut is telling me, just giving me uncertainty. I can't put my finger on it.
So does the flora in your gut see
like I still
Elliott
well, can it be
as an issue?
Yeah, well, it's always goaltending in Philly, and that's probably where my gut's going. Like, I still see them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I don't know how long the run can go. Mind you, if they get lucky enough to face like a Pittsburgh with questionable goaltending, if it doesn't hold up, or something, maybe that helps them.
Well, that's true. Because technically, like you'd think Philly kind of has a lot, like really everything that you would need in a good team. Because I mean, Claude Giroux talking about turning back time. Like somehow last year he turned back the clock by about 5 years, putting up over 100 points.
They have some good young offensive defensemen.
Yeah, they got Provorov there. They got Gostisbehere.
I just love it.
The Ghost. And of course, manning the defense is always Radko Gudas. Radko. The man who hates everything.
Even himself.
I think he probably takes like 5-minute majors even in practice. Like So the defense, they have like the necessary toughness and they got the necessary skill. And on offense,
They're pretty loaded with balanced offense.
Yeah, well, they got like Wayne Simmons there, just a great power forward. You've got Logan Stanley last year.
Couturier, Giroux, James Van Riemsdyk's back. Nolan Patrick,
Juicy
Van Riemsdyk.
Yeah, Nolan Patrick, like good young center that they drafted last season. So yeah, this seems like a team on the rise, but
Jacob Voracek, of course. Yeah, there's just a lot of good young players. It's just, the gut, and I think you nailed it with the goaltending. Goaltending has not really been set in Philadelphia since literally about, 1988?
Well, I think, Pelle Lindbergh, I think is probably the last great goalie they had.
Yeah, Hextall had a great rookie year, but he was never great after that. He was kind of shaky after his rookie year.
Yeah, he did well.
Was his rookie year, he won the Conn Smythe in the playoffs, even though he lost in 7 games?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He had that great rookie year, and then something kind of...
Well, he had some good years in Philly, and then had to trade with Quebec there for Lindros.
But even before that trade, he was kind of falling off in Philly. He was okay, but he wasn't as consistent as that first year.
Yeah, he wasn't as dominant. Still a good goalie, but yeah, not...
But Lindbergh would be the last consistently great goalie. You're talking mid-80s there.
Yeah, I think 80s. I don't know, was it 90s for Lindbergh? Or still 80s? Yeah.
No, it's still 80s.
Yeah, so since then it's been nothing. Philly's tried everything. They just cannot seem to get a goalie that's any good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, it definitely has been lack of effort, no matter who the GM is.
Well, and finally, in the good old Metro, we have the New York Rangers. Is this a team that's solidly rebuilding?
Oh, yes, they are solidly rebuilding. They're trying to rebuild with a solid foundation. I'm not even sure if there's a first floor yet. I think we're just at a foundation.
Yeah.
But you have to start somewhere.
Yeah. Well, they dumped off basically every contract they could except for King Henrik. So Lundqvist is still there in the pipes. And I guess he's just going to stay there until the next great Ranger goalie is groomed and ready to take over.
Well, they better hope it's a shorter wait than Philly, or he's going to be there a long time.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Rangers usually seem to find one good goalie after another.
Yeah, they're the anti-Philly.
Yeah, they've never been an issue for them. So they do have some good young forwards there. Defense is probably a bit of a weakness for them, I would think. Do you see anybody on D that is tickling your fancy?
Not particularly.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's one of those positions where that takes more time than forward anyways.
Oh, yeah.
And I haven't really looked into their minor league system. That might be a better indication of their future. I don't think you expect this much. Yeah, Kevin Shattenkirk's the only really well-known player here.
Yeah.
I don't think you expect him to be what he was. But if he give you some consistency offensively, I'll take anything on the blue line right now.
Yeah. All right. So Rangers, not really expecting them to make any noise. Not expecting a playoff appearance.
But they've been pretty honest with their fans. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's not going to be a disappointment. This is what you expect.
Yeah, it's not a surprise. They told them last year, this is what we're doing. So, yeah. So that's the Metro. So, looking at the Metro, the winner for this division would seem to be Washington, pretty much by default. Number 2 then gets interesting.
I'm still going to show faith in Pittsburgh at 2.
Nice. Like it.
I'm going to go Philly 3.
Oh, all right. Brotherly love, number 3.
Because I think that those issues in Columbus could be an issue.
Yeah.
I'll go Columbus. Ooh, do I want to go Columbus for, or do I want to go Jersey for?
Ooh, I know. That's because Jersey actually has competent goaltending.
I like the stability of Jersey. I'll go them for.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Columbus 5.
Mm-hmm.
Islanders.
Carolina. Believe in the Canes.
Yeah, I don't believe in the Islanders goaltending at all. And then the Islanders and Rangers.
Yeah, 2 New York teams bringing up the rear.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, that's the Metro. So we see the Capitals as your Metro champs. being hunted down by both Pittsburgh and Philly.
Yes.
How about the Atlantic? They should just call this the original 6 division.
This is a pretty widespread division. From Tampa to Toronto to Boston to Florida to Buffalo to Montreal to Detroit to Ottawa?
Yeah. Like, this is...
Who did the geography on this? Who figured this out? Who's the genius behind this handiwork?
Well, these are all the teams that are on the Atlantic Ocean. Even though Toronto's nowhere near...
I thought New York was on the Atlantic Ocean.
Even though Toronto's nowhere near the Atlantic.
I don't think Detroit's near the Atlantic. Ottawa's not that close to the Atlantic.
No.
Buffalo's not that close. Hey, check this out, though. New York and New York are close to the Atlantic. Philly and Jersey aren't far.
But they're metropolitan cities, whereas these aren't.
Jersey? It's a state.
You're not.
It's an entire state.
You're not seeing the unbridled genius of this Atlantic division.
No, I am not seeing it.
Neither is anyone else.
Because you can't find it no matter how hard you look.
And you can't teach that.
You can't. No, you can't. I'd rather be looking for a needle in a haystack.
I still say they should have called this the original 6 division.
Yeah,
because you have no less than 4 original 6 teams in this one division: Toronto, Boston, Montreal, and Detroit.
It's such genius because it reduces our chances of ever seeing an original 6 Stanley Cup.
Genius.
Well done, NHL.
Well
done.
Done. Well, let's start looking at this genius division.
Are you ingenious, incapable, incomprehensible?
Are you intolerant? Let's start with the center of the hockey universe.
Tampa Bay?
Toronto.
Oh, I mean, just the center of the universe.
All Leafs all the time.
Oh, all day, all night, all week, all Toronto.
So apparently Toronto got this shiny new toy in named John Tavares. So he's in, but as all good things, one is in, one is out. So William Nylander says, nah, you got to pay me before I'm going to wear your colors. What are you thinking about Toronto here?
You got 2 great centers.
Uh-huh.
You're going to score a lot of goals.
Yep.
I don't know if you're going to keep many out.
And they're not so far.
Sure. That game again, was it? They played, who was it they played this week? Was it when they played Chicago? It's like a return to the 80s?
Yeah, 7-6.
In over.
Tight game.
Tight checking.
Like down to the wire.
That was like 1980s fire wagon hockey.
Grr.
Oh, man.
So far, they have in 4 games, 20 goals for and 17 against.
Great hockey to watch. I don't know if it's Stanley Cup winning formula outside like the 1980s.
Well, they have scored the most goals. They have also given up the most goals.
I don't blame him for going after Tavares, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I know, they're bringing up all these young, great offensive players, which you'd love to have.
Yep.
I think one of the things people underrate, though, is when I look at Toronto, they're just stacked with these offensive players. I mean, they do have Kadri and they do have Brown.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things people think when you're playing defense is how good is your blue line.
Yeah.
The one thing people overlook when you want to have a good defensive team, though, is you actually need some role players at forward. More than 2, preferably.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's great to go run and gun, but this is a team that will get to the playoffs. This team will be exciting. This will be a team that wins a lot of games. I don't know if their playoff run goes past the second round, though.
Well, this will be an interesting experiment because, Toronto has definitely embraced this new era of, like, offense, run and gun, pure skill hockey.
I like to see it.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see them prove me wrong.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's like, I don't know if the era is so leaned so far towards just pure skill that a little bit of grit isn't going to be needed at some point in the playoffs.
Even the all-time scoring era of the 80s, grit was still required then.
Yeah, so I think so too. I think Toronto just going with all skill and not really a lot of sandpaper.
I love that expression.
I also suspect this will come back and bite them. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. Yeah, this will be an interesting experiment. If they do well in the playoffs, go far. If they make it all the way to the Stanley Cup final, never mind winning it. If they just get there, then I think they've proven
they made their point.
That their way is the correct way.
I wonder if that's why Lula and Morello left.
That could be. I think that was part of it. There was definitely some philosophical differences.
This definitely isn't definitely isn't a Lula Morello vision.
No, and the one criticism I do have of Toronto
or a Mark Hunter vision.
That's right. Well, the thing is with this team is that I just kept wondering. Okay, you've got all these great players, and now you just signed Tavares, and you're giving him $11 million a year. Well, it's like, you still got to sign Matthews. Your Mitch Marner is getting his money. William Nylander is currently sitting out because he wants to get paid.
And you don't blame him when you brought him in, and I've been here already.
Exactly. I was wondering, how can you literally afford Tavares? You have all these other guys you got to pay. How in the world are you going to be able to afford all of them? Because there is a salary cap.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that right now, Toronto has been talking... even in the media, Brendan Shanahan, their president, saying that William Nylander, has to help us out. Everybody's got to help us out to make this team strong. And I'm thinking, no, why?
There's irony here, because correct me if I'm wrong, and I may be. It's been a long time.
Uh-huh.
Didn't Brendan Shanahan used to be one of the NHL union leaders as a player?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Irony is thick.
Real thick.
So yeah, it's that's the one part of it is the arrogance here of Toronto to think that, we're going to sign this great free agent that everybody wants, and we're going to afford him because we're going to expect all of our current players to take a pay cut so we can afford him.
Mm-hmm. No.
So I'm glad...
If anything, if I'm one of the players, I'm kind of insulted.
Exactly. I'm glad Nylander is putting up this stance and saying, no, I want to get paid too. You're not going to give all this money to this newcomer. I've been here.
Mm-hmm.
It's I want mine. So I think this is going to present an interesting dilemma for Toronto. That the salary cap is going to loom large.
If you have any doubts, just look at how it should. There's two teams to look at for different reasons and how salary caps had effect. You look at Chicago signing their core and having to overturn for years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been quite successful, but after a while it was tough to manage.
Yeah.
And another team that hasn't managed the cap well at all, Edmonton.
Oh, yeah. Horrifying. Should that be a surprise, though? Because...
No, what did I tell you about Peter Chiarelli?
Yep.
I was grateful he brought a cup to Boston because I'm a Bruins fan, but I told you he can't manage the cap.
And he has not. He has thoroughly mismanaged the cap. Well, he mismanaged it in Boston.
Mm-hmm. They had to fix it there.
Because you brought that up because he messed up Boston's cap space something fierce, and now he's done it to Edmonton. And Edmonton, unfortunately, unlike Boston, has no success whatsoever.
No.
We'll be getting to them soon.
Oh, we will.
So that's Toronto. Speaking of the Bruins, what do you think? Are they ready to contend?
I don't know if they're ready to contend to win the cup, but I think they're... You know what? Oh, let's just get to the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Tuukka Rask.
Oh,
I said it last year. In the playoffs.
No, not Tuukka.
You know what? Great regular season goalie. If the Bruins outplay teams, I think they could possibly win with him.
Yeah.
But they have to outplay teams. I think he can be decent in the playoffs. But if you're expecting this guy to steal a series, just drop that expectation right now.
Oh, come on.
Drop it.
I got my Tuukka Rask jammies. My Tuukka Rask bed sheets. You saying he can't cover?
I'm saying you should wash them. In April, you should wash them. Because there may be shit on them.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
I think in the playoffs he's not awful, so I shouldn't say the shit the bed expression. But steal you a series, no. So they have to outplay teams. And I think they're a very good team, but I'm not, like, barring injuries or any, because a lot can change between now and April when the playoffs hit.
Yeah.
I don't see them outplaying Tampa. I definitely don't see them outplaying Washington the way Washington's own them. Depending on Pittsburgh's situation, I have trouble seeing them outplay them.
So, yeah.
I think they can lay the wood to Toronto, though, possibly.
Well, whether it's forwards and defense. And
a lot of depth, and a lot of it's health.
Yeah.
Because that first line has to stay healthy.
Yeah, but even overall, even past the first line, I think Boston has some like good young players.
Donato, DeBrusque.
Yeah, that are like some pretty exciting young guys.
Forsbacka, Carlson. I feel really good about their future. I think they can make a deep playoff run. I don't know if I see Cup yet, but I see possible deep playoff run and working their way back to a Cup eventually.
But again, it all comes down on Tuukka.
Well, if they can outplay a team for a series, they can win. There's just certain teams I don't know if they can outplay them, but if you're asking him to steal the series, no. I think he can play well enough not to screw up the series, but not steal it for them.
All right.
So when they face a team like Tampa that's superior talented, no.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. An unbiased view from a Bruin fan. This next team should be much easier to preview. The Buffalo Sabres.
A proud franchise.
Proudly rebuilding for 10 years straight.
Proudly rebuilding for an entire decade.
But once again, they're still rebuilding. Surprise, surprise.
It's about the process.
Oh, the process.
The process.
Yes. You got to trust the process.
Oh, you got to have a lot of trust here.
Well, this year they made a big splash. Well, not really. They basically picked the obvious choice in this year's draft. Rasmus Dahlin.
Yes.
Defenseman from Sweden. They're banking on him being the next one, at least on defense. What do you think? Is this going to be the year? Are they finally on the rise to somewhat respectability?
I think on the rise to respectability. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure about the playoffs. The East both conferences can be pretty tough when it comes to just your 8 spots.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see them coming along being a respectable team this year. I don't know about winning record, but at least, not a rock bottom, this is disgusting win-loss record. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, a lot of it too is going to be Carter Hutton. He's played pretty well in goal, so if they can continue to get consistent goaltending from them, I see the climb continuing. Mm-hmm. But if the goaltending doesn't hold up, then it can be an awful year. But if they get reliable goaltending, I think they can be pretty respectable, and you can see the progress being made.
I have 2 words that I see as having a great impact on Buffalo's present. Ryan O'Reilly.
That's huge.
Because O'Reilly was with his team last year, and now he's gone. Now he's been shipped off to St. Louis. And I think O'Reilly is like a cooler in the NHL. Because so far, the teams that he's been on, they've all failed so far.
He's like Carmelo Anthony.
Exactly. He is the NHL's Carmelo Anthony. Because when he was in Colorado, they were terrible. Went over to Buffalo. They made the big trade. Hey, we got a number 1 center. Yay, he's going to be awesome. He was terrible in Buffalo. Buffalo did nothing with him in their lineup. Mm-hmm. I mean, he put up decent stats, but it didn't matter. The team was still awful. This year, they finally get rid of him, ship him off to St. Louis. Everybody's all, St. Louis, they're like a Stanley Cup contender. They're now also losing St. Louis.
You know what? I never thought of that. And actually, I'm going to double up and say there may be 2 coolers in the league.
Oh.
And both coolers might have been on the same team at the same time at one point in time.
That's just too cruel.
Matt Duchene.
Oh. That's true. He was there in Colorado for those O'Reilly years.
Yes. They could be a tag team, the Coolers. They'd come out, they'd be like They'd be like the guys who look like world beaters and just lose every week.
Oh, yeah. Like, I don't know, the Ascension maybe?
Thinking like the Ascension, like Gallows and Anderson.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that's the thing. So maybe O'Reilly, he needs to like go to Japan too, and maybe I'll have some success there.
Drag down the Japanese All-Star team.
That's right. Because I think
I never thought of the O'Reilly cooler factor. No, I thought of Duchesne like that, but I hadn't thought about O'Reilly.
With O'Reilly, it's like when I heard that they had traded him to St. Louis, I thought, you know what, this is a good thing. This, I think, is addition through subtraction. Because for whatever reason, even though he's got a lot of skill, people talk great about his game, he just no matter where he is, there's no success.
No.
So now it's 3 teams. So let's see where St. Louis does.
So interesting. That might even lead to Buffalo's building improving.
Yeah, so I think...
I still don't think enough for the playoffs, but progress.
I think progress as well. On the other hand, our next team is Montreal. And if ever there was a team where it just looked like management is just throwing darts at a board and that's how they're putting together the lineup, this looks like that team.
Oh, it does. We're going to keep getting wingers so we can put them at center.
Yeah, that part is madness. Like Jonathan Drouin, they get from Tampa Bay. I thought that was a great acquisition. It's a good idea. He's a French-Canadian guy, young guy, super talented, but he's a winger.
Remember the Galchenyuk thing they had last year and stuff like that? Like this.
Yeah. It's like he's a very talented guy, but he's a winger. Like, put him at wing. That's his natural position.
No, in Montreal, he's the #1 center.
Yeah, and how did he do last year? Failed miserably.
Yeah, we're going to try it again.
Yeah, so it's like, let's put him there. It's like, no, don't. Like, whatever you have in your organization, put them at center and let this guy play his natural position. At least have one good star on your team.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, beyond him, getting Max Domi this year. Another winger, yay. And then, let's trade away Max Pacioretty because that's a good idea. For, what, nothing?
And let's name our team captain. Won't be back till December.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
And then let's hope our top goalie bounces back. That's beyond their thing.
Yep.
And behind him, though, my favorite uncle, Antti-Niemi.
Hey! The anti-Niemi.
The anti-Niemi.
I wonder who the pro-Niemi is.
That's a good question.
Whoever is the Niemi guy, that he's anti. So, Montreal, I don't see any real hope for them this year.
No, neither do I.
Unless Carey Price just carries his team on his back. That's it.
That's asking a lot at this point.
Assuming his knees can hold up.
Yeah, while carrying the world on his back.
Speaking of dysfunction, how about we stay in Canada and go to Ottawa now?
Oh, this should be enjoyable. Just like any major corporation, you're only as strong as you are at the top. Oh, Eugene Melnick's the owner. Well.
Oh, dear.
Oh, boy. Oh, no.
It says something when your own fans are buying billboards to basically say, fire Melnick. That's pretty bad. Fans are spending their own money to buy billboard space.
Fire the owner, a person you can't even fire.
Yeah, so
they're so enraged they're spending money to fight the unwinnable battle.
That is serious rage. Ottawa, they got rid of Erik Karlsson at long last and basically traded him for kind of a bag of pucks and a little more. Your favorite, Matt Duchesne, is still here. They also got Mark Stone, who's actually a legitimately good player. And some hope, And
they still have Zach Smith.
They tried to get rid of him, but they couldn't.
No.
They can't even do that right.
They still have beautiful Bobby Ryan, who's now an 11-goal scorer.
Oh, yes, he is.
Oh, man.
Oh, beautiful Bobby. Although on defense, they do have some hope. Young, up-and-coming offensive defenseman. Help me out here.
Thomas Chabot?
Chabot, there you go.
Because they got rid of the other guy, Carlson. Now, that one, though, that was kind of a weird situation.
Yeah,
Carlson's a really good player. Those long-term contracts scare me. But they could have got more for him. Oh, man.
Well, they should have got something for him.
Yeah, that anything would be more.
Get something. Like, even if it's not much, just get something. So, yeah, with Ottawa, there's nothing here, right?
No, nothing to see here.
All right. How about Tampa?
Oh, plenty to see here.
Stanley Cup for them?
Your boy, Yanni Gourde.
My favorite squash. Yanni Gourde.
Yanni Gourde
will be leading the potential Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning.
He's such a good little player. And there's a lot of talk. Is Yzerman officially leaving this year? Is that just a speculation?
No, he's gone.
Yeah?
He's gone. He has left the team.
Yeah. Is he still there this year, though, right?
No, he's already left.
He's already gone?
Gonzo.
So, just your opinion. Do you think he's off to Detroit next year?
Mm-hmm.
That would be nice to see.
Yep. That just makes total sense that he'll go in back to his old team and rise them from the ashes.
That's the talk, and I hope in this case the obvious happens, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get to a stacked hockey team.
Yeah. What don't they have? Like Stamkos forward, Kucherov.
Scores, they have defense, Johnson, they have a legit goalie.
Defense, Hedman, goalie, Vasilyev, they have
Hedman, McDonough, Girardi on defense, Sergachev. Strong, they're stacked everywhere.
Everywhere.
Excuse me, Yanni Gourde, Brandon Point, Kucherov, Stamkos, of course. Yeah. This type of team, even when Stamkos gets hurt, they're still stacked.
Yeah, they're still stacked. So is really health the only thing that's going to derail them?
I think so. Health and health.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't see anything else that could stop them right now.
No.
All right. Tampa Bay. Challenging maybe Washington for the Cup.
Mm-hmm. And if Pittsburgh gets goaltending, you can't write them off.
That's right.
Still think Tampa's a better team, but Pittsburgh keeps it close enough with goaltending they can steal it.
Yeah. Well, overall, and that's the thing. Goaltending is everything.
Mm.
Well, how about Detroit? They're still working through their goaltending issues themselves. Are they improving? They're kind of in a bit of a rebuilding phase for the last, 4 years or so.
Yeah, I'm not seeing big time improvement with them.
Henry.
Which is, I don't know. See some decent young players, but no one really grabbing a franchise by the throat or anything. Some decently promising players.
Dylan Larkin would be kind of their biggest offensive star.
Mm-hmm. Anthony Matha's a good young player.
Yeah.
Tyler Bertuzzi may have a bright future, though he hasn't scored a lot yet.
Well, hopefully it doesn't cross-check anybody in the back of the head.
You're no fun anymore. Though Gustav Nyquist has but 29, he's not really part of the future, but he gives you a bit of scoring right now. I don't know if there's really a lot to get excited about in the future or whatever.
Yeah. They're kind of a team that's been a very slow rebuild.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a stacked minor league system.
And even their goaltending, it's still Jimmy Howard right now because Peter Mrazek, who they thought they had their goalie of the future, it didn't quite work out.
Nicholas Cronwell's still in the league?
I know, that's what I said.
Actually, you did.
I had the same reaction. It's he's still playing?
That's right, you did say that. We had our hockey pool there.
Yeah, I was shocked. I hadn't heard of him in years. I thought he'd retired.
He's in the witness protection program known as Detroit.
Yeah, I had no idea he was there. Good for him.
Unfortunately, aside from Larkin and maybe Mantha, Detroit's best prospect might not be in the organization yet, and that might be Yzerman taking over as an executive.
Yep.
Yeah. So that'll be another year before. Yeah. We'll be saying the same thing about them next year and then hoping that Stevie Y could turn that once proud franchise around.
All right. So that is Detroit still grinding. Last team in the Atlantic, Florida, the Panthers. Yeah, another like young team that's been rising.
Luongo hurt again, I believe.
Yeah, he hurt again.
Yeah, and Hutchinson signed there.
Yes, he does. Yeah, Michael Hutchinson, back up to James Reimer.
The battle of the veteran backups.
Yep. So that'll be interesting to see. Again, goaltending is going to determine this team because otherwise, at both forward and defense, they've got a lot of good young players on both.
They do.
To really make noise. Like, looks like Aaron Ekblad on defense has kind of gotten his game back after a couple of like strange seasons.
I think Mike Matheson's a vastly underrated defenseman. He's not going to wow you with his offensive stats, but he's vastly underrated.
Well, on forwards, you got players like Barkov and Huberdeau and Davidov and a bunch of other ovs.
Bunch of other ovs. But if they're on, look out.
Look out, it's the red light that's going to be off.
Oh, yeah. Well played. Well played. Nicely done.
I'm good. So what do you think? Is this a team that you're excited about and loving?
Oh, yeah, don't take a night off against them. I don't see like 100-point season or anything.
Yeah.
The tough one, playoffs. I think they'll make a run for the playoff spot, but I don't know if they'll get in. But I think they'll at least contend for a spot anyways. It might come down to late in the year.
All right. Love it. So
a lot of it might be the goaltending, though. Because, Reimer and Hutchinson, that kind of concerns me.
Which has been pretty much a constant theme in almost every team we've spoken of is everything hinges on the goalies.
Yeah, when you compare them to teams like Carolina and the Islanders, I would take Reimer and Hutchinson over some of those
That's true. That is true. There's a lot more stability there with those two.
Yeah.
So for the original six conference, is this Tampa's division to take?
Oh, yeah. The anti-original 6 team that won the original 6 conference.
Yeah, go figure. Number 2, Toronto, Boston, most likely candidates.
I'll go Toronto number 2. I think Toronto's a better regular season team, but Boston takes a deeper run in the playoffs.
All right. So Bruins number 3. All right. So 4. Well, I guess
gotta pick someone. Gotta be Florida.
Yeah. Gotta be Florida, and then I guess 5. Do we believe enough in Buffalo?
Yeah. I'm even wondering if Buffalo could overtake Florida, but I can't bring myself to do it.
Yeah, it seems a bit too quick.
Yeah.
I guess Detroit 6.
Montreal or Detroit? No, Detroit.
And then Montreal and Ottawa both tied for 8th.
I'll give it to Montreal. They're dysfunctional, but at least it's not dysfunctional from ownership.
That's
Montreal
true.
7, Detroit, Ottawa 8.
All right. So there we go. That's how we see this division. Tampa winning it with Toronto and Boston.
The top looks awesome, and the bottom just looks ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a feast or famine division.
Yeah.
Some powerhouses at the top and some
just garbage at the bottom.
Like true light
tire fires, as you would say.
Tire fires at the bottom. All right. Well, that is the East. So let's fly over to the west side of the country. Let's get West Side, yo.
West Side!
And over here we have, once again, 2 divisions who are imaginatively named. One is the Central, one is the Pacific. Guess where the teams are in these 2 divisions.
These teams stay much truer to their geography than the Eastern Conference teams.
All right, well, let's start with the Central then. We have 3 times Stanley Cup champion Chicago. We have Dallas, Colorado, Winnipeg, Nashville, Minnesota, and St. Louis in the Central. Let's start with Chicago. It was last year merely a blip. And is this team going to be back and contending? Or is last year kind of like the beginning of the end?
One of the big things that let them down last year was goaltending.
Yep.
Another thing, a couple of big-time defensemen, Keith and Seabrook, didn't have as good years as they usually do.
Mm-hmm.
Is it kind of the beginning of the end for them, or was it a lack of help?
Mm-hmm.
Tay is still a good player, but not the force he was. He started this first week off well, but it's the first week October.
Yep. They still got Kane there.
I don't think this team's as bad as it was last year, but I don't think they're the cup contender they used to be by any means.
I think this is a team that...
I think this is actually a solid team if they stay relatively healthy.
Yeah.
And goaltending will be a big thing, too. Though I think Cam Ward will be okay. Reclamation in Chicago.
That's the thing. Like, I mean, he's gotten off to a bumpy start, but yeah, like, I also believe that Cam Ward can rise up and be good enough until Corey Crawford is back.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the Chicago lineup, they've kind of sneakily thrown in youth all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
Because people have, keep talking about, oh, they're an old veteran teams. Like, well, some players are.
They seem like they're in transition.
But that's the thing. But they also have players like Schmaltz in there as a young guy.
But a decent transition, though.
Yeah. And DeBrincat. Like, there's some actually good young players.
That's why I have a bit
on
of
this
hope
team.
for them. But not enough hope for them to be legit cup contenders.
I think they're one of these teams that I think they'll make the playoffs. And if they do... woe to any team that faces them.
But still not enough to get to the cup. But
they're the ultimate dark horse for me.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going that far, but you might have to. It might be. You sound to me like I did with Vegas last year.
Yeah, they're
so I'm not going to doubt you there. I see them in getting a round or two. You see them getting maybe far. This is like it was roles reversed when we talked about Vegas last year.
Yeah,
so maybe you're onto something.
Yeah, this is a team that if I'm a team like in the playoffs, like especially in the first round, I want nothing to do with Chicago because they would terrify me.
Well, because they're playing with house money, there's no expectations, and you got people with like cup experience.
Exactly
in that
right.
atmosphere. That's dangerous.
And Corey Crawford,
even Cam Ward has cup experience.
Well, and Corey Crawford is going to be back.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it takes him 2 months to recover from his current ailments, that means there's 2 months extra that he's going to be rested.
You may have sold me on this team.
So
you may have sold me.
I think people need to be more aware of Chicago.
I thought get in the playoffs maybe win around, but you may have convinced me.
Watch out. We're afraid of them, and so should you be.
I'm living in fear.
I'm almost afraid to talk about the next team.
Jonathan Toews will be at my door tonight. I'll be under my bed.
Ding dong. Don't answer that.
Don't get the cat away from the door. Nobody's home.
You know where no one has been home? The Dallas defense. Hey! How about we go to Dallas? Nice, warm country, friendly folk. And their defense is...
Isn't Dallas a burgeoning metropolis?
Yes, they are.
That's not in the Metropolitan Division?
The NHL has a plan. It's a plan. You got to trust the process.
Trust the process. Yes.
So Dallas, they've had like the amazing forwards,
yes.
Ben and Seguin and company, but it's been the defense.
And it actually hasn't even been deep after those top guys, really, even at forward lately.
Yeah. It's, they even signed like Radulov there out of Russia and Montreal and Nashville.
They signed him out of anywhere they could get him.
Pretty much. The guy's been like the ultimate mercenary for the last couple of years. But on defense, it's been kind of like their soft underbelly. What do you think of this team? Is Ben Bishop going to come back, give him some joy?
It's interesting because if you go by the first 3 games of this year, the first 2 he's given them joy, and the third one he gave him angst. I think you'll see a bit of both from him. I think he'll have a relatively good year. Whether he's healthy or not might be another thing. Hudobin will be a good backup for him. That top line's massive. They're hard to handle.
Yeah. And then
Sagan, Ben, Radulov.
And Ben, when he is like playing angry, it is like pretty much unstoppable.
It is. And then Klingberg, an amazing defenseman. You notice Ben and Sagan already have playoff beards just to open the year?
They're ready.
They are ready.
So do you see this team making the playoffs?
Well, Jim Montgomery, the new coach, has won championships everywhere he's been.
All right.
As a coach.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean championship here, but it does mean he can coach. Let's see.
Good point.
Do I see playoffs? They're definitely going to make a run for the playoffs, but I mean, you are talking about what was it? They just missed the playoffs last year.
Yep, that's very true.
I have after you mentioned the Ryan O'Reilly thing, I have my doubts of St. Louis.
Yeah.
I don't know how Colorado's going to repeat this year. You know what? I'm going to give them a shot.
All right.
And I'm not even sold on Minnesota.
Yeah.
Because I'm not too sure. You got some aging players. We'll get to Minnesota later.
Oh yeah, we'll get
to them.
We'll get there. All right, so Dallas, you're hedging.
I think they're going to get in one of the last spots, if not the last spot.
All right. So, let's talk about the team that did grab the last spot last year. Colorado Avalanche. Is the Avalanche going to be on their fans or on their opponents this year?
Oh, well played.
Oh, thank you.
Said.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I don't know. I see some good talent. I'm just not super convinced about this team repeating last year. I don't know why.
I neither.
No, good. We are united on this.
No, I am firmly a non-believer. I am a hockey atheist when it comes to Colorado.
A hockey atheist? Would that make you a hockey atheist or a hockey agnostic?
Oh, that's interesting.
I always get the two mixed up. One is non-believer and one is not sure.
Well, I am definitely not believing in Colorado.
Whichever one is non-believer.
Colorado atheist or Colorado agnostic.
Whichever applies.
Yeah. I do not believe last year's team.
It was too many points to bring back in 1 year. You usually come back the next year after a huge improvement. Because
2 years ago they had like one of the worst seasons in the history of the game, and all of a sudden, basically the same lineup puts up one of the probably the biggest point improvement in the history of the game.
Those teams always come back.
Yeah,
they always come back at least a bit.
Yeah, this just doesn't add up. Like if you ever follow the stock market, every hot stock, boom, hits. Hello, Bitcoin. What were they? $30,000 for one Bitcoin in December? Where are they at now? 6,000.
It was going to be the wave of the future.
Thanks for coming out. That's how I see Colorado. Like, I am not convinced. I still don't think their defense is any good. They got Tyson Barrie there?
Yeah.
I think is their top guy.
Yes.
After that, there's really nothing. I don't think they have a defender that knows how to actually play their own zone.
No.
And goaltending, I'm not sold there either.
Because they have Samuel Girard, who's all 5'10", 162.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to threaten no one.
No.
Yeah. So, and I mean, on goalie, they got, Varlamov. They made the big deal with Washington.
I'm not even asking Samuel Girard to watch my door when Jonathan Toews shows up to knock tonight.
Oh, no. Gerard, he would
He won't even get there won't even be a warning.
He would hide under the toilet.
Yeah, he would.
So yeah, Colorado, I'm just not believing this team. I don't like their defense. I don't like their goaltending. They have some decent forwards, but
both of us agree picturing Colorado getting back to the playoffs is unbelievable.
Oh, there we go. Gotta say it. Colorado atheist.
Colorado atheist. The Colorado low.
Yes. From low to maybe high, let's go to Winnipeg. The Jets.
Our Winnipeg
Jets.
Fantastic.
Oh wait, the other Jets. So
yes.
Right. So the Jets last year. There's another team that also, like Colorado, I guess surprised everyone from being a zero to suddenly being a hero, making it all the way to the Western Conference Final, losing out to the evil Las Vegas posse or whatever they're called.
Evil?
Yeah. The evil hated Las Vegas team. Jets having a massive season last year, beating out Minnesota pretty easily in round one, and then surprisingly actually beating Nashville in Nashville in round two.
In Game 7.
Yeah. So what do you think for the Jets? Is it going to continue from last year, or is this a year of stumble?
Certainly hope so. You and I have talked off the air about how in the 90s, Calgary and Edmonton both had strong playoff runs, got to the Cup Finals, and it just fell off the face of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And fell off for a long time after.
Yep.
With this team, I think it could go one of two ways. It could be another deep playoff run, or it could be that fallback year.
Mm.
The one thing is, though, if they do have that fallback year, I still think they would make the playoffs. Even if something crazy happened, he did the unforeseeable and missed, which I have trouble seeing, it'd be nothing more than a year fall off. I don't think it'd be the fall off that Calgary and Edmonton had in the 90s.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one extreme or the other, though. I don't think there's going to be a lot of in between here. I'm definitely hoping for the Cup contention, though, of course. And they're good enough to do it. But it's just there's always that step back concern.
Yeah, obviously
I see them in the playoffs anyways.
Yeah, I also see them in the playoffs, and again, just like with most of these other teams, goaltending. So Hellebuck, again, last year he had a remarkable improvement over the previous year, Vezina finalist. So again, if he can play somewhere close to last season, then the rest of the Jets team, they have on a lead what should be more than enough talent on both forward and defense to carry them again to another high standing in the Central, possibly even winning the division.
Because that talent can carry them.
Yeah.
As long as they're confident enough in the back end, don't have to worry.
Yeah. And again, speaking of addition through subtraction, at long last, Tobias Enstrom is gone from this team.
Yes.
The player I have named the worst player in the NHL, and it was proven to me by the fact that when the Jets, after his contract was over this year, he's a free agent. Not one single NHL team signed him. Not even
the bad ones.
Not even the desperate Montreal Canadiens, Edmonton Oilers, Ottawa Senators, who could kill for a defenseman.
Kill for anything.
Nobody wanted him. Back to Europe to you. So I was right. Worst player in the NHL. Gone. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Win for Winnipeg.
Yeah, I see they're in the playoffs. How far they go is going to be the thing. I don't see, like I said, even if it's a downfall year, it won't be the drastic downfall of those other teams. But
all right,
it's a matter of first round elimination or Stanley Cup champion. They could be anywhere in that whole range.
Oh, this is going to be fun times then with the whiteouts.
Yeah.
All right. Well, potentially the Jets' biggest obstacle in even getting out of this division, Nashville.
You know this team's consistently in the hunt.
Music City. Their defense is okay.
Yeah, it's not bad.
With a D like this, who cares about the rest?
I mean, you got Yossi, Subban, Ellis, even a guy like Ekholm who's steady behind those big three. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches.
And goaltending, they have that Pecorine kid. He's pretty good.
Yeah, if he falls off, they got the Soros kid.
Yeah. It's not bad. You know, it's a kind of like a good 1-2 punch there. And forwards, they seem to have the odd forward.
Arvidsson, Forsberg, Johansson. Then they even have they got tourists. They even got role players like Bonino. Oh, yeah. Good, solid team.
This almost seems like a Western Conference version of Tampa Bay.
Kind of does.
Which
tells you how good Winnipeg was to knock them off last year. So if the Jets could stay on course,
yeah, because
it could come down to these two teams again.
Well, you look at this lineup, and again, I see no weaknesses.
No.
It's just a stacked lineup all the way through.
Mm-hmm. Except for Rene's questionable playoff performances lately.
That's where UC Saros comes in.
Yes.
He bailed them out last year.
They might not wait as long this year.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously we see them handily making the playoffs.
Yes.
Very good. The team that you touched on just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I was just going to say, they're kind of a veteran team, even with young talent. With the Jets, I think the Jets are just about as talented. It's just the youth factor. And just if they have any drawbacks, it's just part of the learning process. But, yeah.
Well, let's go to the North Stars, or as they're now currently known, the Wild. But I like North Stars better. It's a nicer name. So Minnesota North Stars, what do we think of them? You didn't sound overly impressed when you touched on them a few minutes ago.
Well, Mikko Koivu, Father Time. Zach Parise, good player, seen better days.
Yep.
Ryan Suter, seen better days.
Yep.
Still a decent team.
But they also got Matt Dumba on defense.
They do.
They also got Jared Spurgeon.
They do.
And on forward, they also got Nino Niederreiter. They got Eriksson. Michael Granlund.
Oh, yes.
Hotshot young rookie, Jordan Greenway.
He has potential. But here's an interesting thing. I don't know if Bruce Boudreau's never really had a lot of playoff success.
The cooler.
But the cooler. But he has regular season success. But you kind of wonder if there could be a difference in philosophy this year.
Oh, yeah.
And as long as, difference in philosophy doesn't cause tension during the season. You have Boudreau, who likes a more offensive, wide-open game. He's preached a bit more defense. And the new GM, Paul Fenton, who came from Nashville, who believes in fortifying your defense.
Right.
So if they could stay, as long as there's not issues or whatever and that doesn't come to the forefront, I think they'd be okay this year. Though both guys are probably pretty solid pros, so maybe not an issue. But
I think they should complement each other almost.
You would think so, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So with good old Mini here, do you see them sniffing at offense? Sniffing at playoffs?
Yeah, they're a team. They'll be fighting for one of the last spots. They might get in there for one of the last spots. If they do, they get in the back door, kind of like they did last year.
Okay.
Don't know if they're in or out, but they're around there anyways.
Okay. All right, so hope for playoffs. But just a hope.
But with hope, there's a chance.
As always, are you saying there's a chance?
Yes, I'm saying there's a chance.
All right, so last and maybe least, St. Louis Blues. They made
home of the cooler.
Home of the cooler, Ryan O'Reilly. They made a lot of moves this offseason, bringing in O'Reilly and also
Tyler Bozak,
Perron. How are you loving this team?
How am I loving this team?
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of liking this team. Though once you mentioned the cooler, not liking them as much. There's something to that. It's just, you can't deny that. You just can't deny that track record.
Well,
plus, there's Jake Allen, I'll put together half a season and fall apart like a nervous breakdown late in the year.
Jake Allen's a strange one. I think he's a good goalie. I'm a believer.
For part of a year.
But for some reason, I can't explain it. I think he's a legitimately good goalie. I think he should be one of the top goalies in the league. But I don't know why. The last season, and I guess even a little before, he just had these stumbles. And I can't explain why he has these stumbles. Because technically, he seems like a really, really good goalie. So yeah, he's a mystery to me. Like an enigma. Wrapped in a riddle. The rest of this team on defense, they have some interesting guys. They got Peter Angelo there. They got Colton Parayko.
Mm-hmm.
Defense and offense. Do you see anything there that could get you excited, pumped for this team?
I see some pretty decent players. I don't know about overly pumped, but quite a few good players up front. Bit of balance. Some pretty good balance up front, because I've always liked balance, because then you can't, even if you don't have big time scores, you can't shut down everyone if you're balanced.
Right.
I want to say playoffs for this team, but O'Reilly single-handedly is scaring me.
He scares me. He alone, just his track record of cooling.
I have
them missing the playoffs.
between that and Jake Allen's, mental blocks or whatever happens.
Yeah.
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 I'll go with you missing the playoffs.
Cooler O'Reilly sinks playoff hopes.
Yeah. Jake Allen doesn't help.
So now when we look at this division, the winner of this division.
Wow. I'm going to go with the Jets have a really good year. I'm going to go Nashville over Winnipeg in a really tight race.
Yep.
Number 3, Chicago. Buying into what you're saying.
Yep. Number 3, Chicago. 4, thinking Dallas here. Yeah. Big D.
5, Minnesota.
Uh-huh.
6, St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
7, Colorado.
Yeah, I agree. We are on the same page, being Colorado atheists.
Yes, Colorado atheists.
Do not believe in them.
Or is that Colorado agnostic? Have to look that up. No, that's too much research for this show.
Yeah, I don't believe.
Yeah.
I don't believe we'll find the answer.
No, I don't believe so either. And I stay steadfast in that belief.
Ooh, steadfast.
Steadfast.
Breaking out the words. I like it. Words. So for our last division, we have the Pacific Division. Yay!
Hey, specifically the last division we're doing.
All these teams line up exactly on the Pacific Coast, like Edmonton
and
Calgary and Phoenix
and Vegas.
Yeah, all on the shoreline of the Pacific Coast.
Yet still, well, no, the Central's actually the best in the name divisions for accuracy.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Nashville, Winnipeg, Colorado getting a bit close. Chicago, St. Louis, Dallas, Minnesota.
Yeah, so we're kind of, ish. But in the Pacific, we have good old Anaheim, Calgary, San Jose, Kings, Vancouver, Las Vegas, Edmonton, and Arizona. So let's start with good old Anaheim Ducks. Quack, 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 quack. So can this team still make noise? They've been a strong, powerful, dominant team for many moons. So is Ryan Getzlaf and company ready to make another run at it?
Well, it was an early playoff run last year. If they don't make some type of run, I think Randy Carlisle's as good as done. When I look at this team, I think it's a big concern. Isn't Kessler hurt for a long time?
Oh, I don't know, actually.
I'm not sure if he is or not.
I think you're right, though. I think he is injured, actually, at the moment.
I'd have to double check, because that could be a big concern for them.
I think he is out a couple of months, actually.
Yeah, that would be a huge concern.
That's true, because he's an agitator, and he's a big face-off guy.
Yeah, shutdown guy. Yeah.
My question with them, too, is given this current era of, small and fast, these guys are big. This is one of the biggest teams still in the NHL.
This is kind of an old-school team that plays I love these. They play a hard game. They're hard on the puck.
Given their weight,
this lingo the last week. Yeah,
given their weight, they'll probably be hard on their skates.
Yeah, they play a heavy game.
Heavy, yes, very heavy. Yes.
Yeah, as you would say, they're heavy on their skates. I don't know how well that works in this era.
That's the thing. Are they just too heavy to be successful nowadays?
Yeah, I'm heavily in agreement with you there. I still think they're good enough to make the playoffs because they're pretty loaded in talent, but in the playoffs, yeah, they're a little too heavy for their own good.
Yeah. They're too heavy for their own good. All right, so that's Anaheim. Calgary, disappointing season last year. Will Johnny Hockey power his team to playoff success this year?
I heard there's increased expectations. Isn't there increased? Well, no, there's not increased expectations every year. We talked about a few teams this year with no expectations. So, I don't know. A lot of optimism there. I see improvement.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I see as much improvement as some people are calling for, though.
Big acquisition, James Neal.
He scores goals.
Uh-huh.
I know a lot of people are hyped about Bill Peters as the new coach.
Right.
And sounds like there's a lot to like about him.
Yeah.
I always worry when a coach can't win a medal with Team Canada at the World Championships.
Very true.
Always a little concern there.
Yeah, very true.
But there could also be just giving him a mulligan. That's not fair, so hard to say. Yeah, there's some good players in Calgary. James Neal's a good addition, stuff like that.
And Sean Monahan on forward.
Big Sean Monahan fan.
Yeah, to go with Goudreau. I mean, Michael Backlund's still there. San Ranheim. Like, there's a lot of like young guys on the forwards and even on defense. Like Giordano is still there and still playing well.
Smith gives them reliable enough goaltending. I see improvement from this team.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely see improvement. Playoffs, it's gonna be tough to grade. The West is a tough place to get in playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Really, just as the playoff situation now, it's just the way it's laid out. Because I don't know, I kind of like Anaheim in the playoffs. Yeah, there's a lot of teams in this division where I'm in a state of flux about most of this division, to be honest with you.
Okay, so you're
as we
iffy.
go through this division, I see improvement. Yeah,
so you're iffy for playoffs.
Yeah, I think they could do it actually.
Okay,
because there's so many other question marks in this division. I'll give them the benefit.
All right. Yeah, I also like Calgary here. I think they've got to do much better than they did last year. They just seem to have way too much talent
to be what they were last year.
Yeah. So I think they will manage to squeeze out a playoff appearance. How about San Jose, the new home of Erik Karlsson? Erik Karlsson and Brent Burns, 1-2 on defense.
That's a lot of offense on your back end.
Yeah. Does that mean Karlsson has to suddenly grow the big giant shaggy beard just to keep up with Burns now?
That would be just so awesome.
What do you make of this team? They seem to have like enough pieces to make a challenge. Goaltending should be good with Martin Jones. Defense seems to have a nice mix with offense and players like Vlasic. Sounds like a pickle.
Evander Kane was a good acquisition last year, but was that because he's there for part of the year? Or is he a good acquisition, or is he going to be part of a downfall this year? He's there for a whole year.
Yeah.
Thomas Hertl stepped up in the playoffs anyways, but he's still got to find consistency.
Yep.
Like Logan Couture, can Joe Thornton stay healthy? That's a huge question.
But he did shave off his beard, so maybe his power is gone.
But maybe some speed is picked up. Maybe that'll help it. Like if he said, and maybe that'll take the weight off his MCL too.
Oh, aerodynamism.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. Martin Jones, like him as a goalie. Yeah. I don't know.
You have playoff doubts for this team?
I'm not sure if I'd say doubts. I think it's like good. This is one of those teams that can be really good, or if there's just a couple key injuries, it could go south real quick. I think a lot of it with them is going to be health,
right?
Because there's a lot of older players there,
right? Okay, so key injuries will derail this team.
Can derail this team, but if they could stay relatively healthy in the playoffs, they can be scary if they get in there.
Okay. Liking it. Well, how about their California cousins, the LA Kings? Recent two-time Stanley Cup champs.
Recent, but it doesn't seem recent. It doesn't feel recent.
No, I think it was like 4 years ago, maybe 5 now.
But it feels longer.
Their biggest signing, obviously, Ilya Kovalchuk. Bringing back Mr. Atlanta Thrasher and New Jersey Devil from the Continental Hockey League to become a King. He even scored his first goal of the season yesterday against the Jets.
He did.
So, so can Ilya make all the difference on this team?
I don't know if he make all the difference, but he can make a contribution. I wouldn't expect all the difference. This is another team not known for its speed.
No, definitely not. They're kind of like a little bit older and slower.
Yeah, and that's not great in this day and age.
Yeah.
Nah, it's not. But they have some good players at Lake. Kowalchuk enough of a difference to sneak him into the playoffs, though. It's a pretty big if.
Well, they just lost Jonathan Quick, too.
Yeah, that's right, eh?
Yeah. So they're going to be missing him for a little bit. I would think that would be a pretty, significant punch in the teeth right there.
Jack Campbell's a pretty highly touted prospect, though. Mm-hmm. So, we'll see how that turns out.
That going to be enough to, get these guys over?
Good question.
Especially over other teams in this division that they got to suddenly fight past?
One of the many questionable teams I was talking about, this team's about as questionable as any of them.
And plus, this division also has to compete with the Central for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
And last year, the Central took the extra 2 spots, and the Pacific only
I see that happening again.
Got in the required top 3, and that's it.
Yeah, I see that happening again this year, too.
Yeah. All right, so, again, this team just might be too old and slow.
They might get in, because I'm not that feeling like it about this division, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not feeling confident. If they get in, I don't think they're going far.
All right. Well, let's go further up on the Pacific coast. Vancouver. They've been, suddenly they just hit their rebuilding program into high gear all of a sudden. The Sedin twins gone for the first time in 18 years. And all of a sudden they're walking with Elias. Peterson, in the case of Vancouver, lighting up the league on storm so far in the first 3 games of the year. Highly touted rookie. Also to go with Brock Boeser as well, and Horvat. Is this a team that has any playoff aspirations, or is this simply a rebuilding year?
I think it's a rebuilding year, but it might be a better rebuilding year than a lot of people think. I just have a weird gut feeling. Mm-hmm. So that's the way I see it, yeah. Especially in a division with some old and slow teams.
Yep.
But I still think they have some strides to make.
Yeah, I am. I also have a really good feeling about this team because they have quickly embraced the youth movement here, almost sneakily embraced the youth movement. And I think this team is actually going to do a lot better than people were fearing at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
I still don't see playoffs, but I see them having a better year and maybe even putting a scare into teams for the hunt.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see them putting a scare. Playoffs, yeah, I think that's too much to ask for. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't think they'll make the playoffs either. But, yeah, I think they'll be competitive, and their fans will be pleased.
Yes.
All right, so the ever-improving Vancouver Canucks. How about we go down now to the Stanley Cup finalists, the hated, despicable, ugly, sour, black-hearted, soulless Las Vegas Golden Knights.
Very well described.
No, thank you.
You're welcome.
What do you think of them?
Before I started reading them, I was kind of optimistic for them, even though I'm not cheering for them, about maybe they can make a return, and they got Patch ready and that. But the more I look at this team, I just not that sold. Not as sold as I was last year on them. For sure. I think I know they started a bit rough. I think they'll pull it around and be a decent team, but I don't think they will be what they were last year.
Okay.
Step back for sure.
Do you see them still making the playoffs?
Yeah, I think so.
Whereas, once again, I have zero faith in this team, and I think a lake appearing in the middle of the Sahara Desert last season was a pure mirage. A piece of fiction, a fake, just like the city itself. And
which you can't wait to get back to.
Which I can't wait to get back to. I love losing money in Vegas. It is a fun city to go to. No doubt that. It's a good time. But no, I do not believe in this team. As far as I'm concerned, this is still an expansion team. I'll never be able to explain what happened last year, but I have them missing the playoffs this year.
That's possible. I see them in, but I wouldn't really go throwing any family fortune on it or anything. That's for sure.
All right, so Vegas, we're not quite a believer. Speaking of lack of belief, Edmonton, their fans are probably at their wits' end when it comes to this moribund franchise.
I haven't heard that word in a while.
Oh,
it's always a solid, fantastic word.
It's kind of like comes to top of mind when thinking of Edmonton.
It's one of those ones I always used to see in magazines far more than I'd ever hear it out of anyone's mouth.
That's true. Yeah, obviously not enough people had enough quality vocabulary.
No.
The Edmonton...
A very limited projection of their oral communication skills.
Very good. Okay. So Edmonton, they've given their fans one season of happiness in the last 10, 15, 20 years. Will this be another one?
Yes. Of happiness or of disappointment?
No, of happiness.
This will be disappointment.
Oh, dear.
This will just be straight up disappointment.
So a team that is right against the cap is no chance of making the playoffs?
Well, I think they might make the playoffs because I'm not too sure about this. Just a lot of it will depend on which Cam Talbot shows up. But I think it's a cup of coffee in the playoffs if they get there and thanks for coming out. I guess you can't rule out Connor McDavid carrying you for a round or two or something, but I'm just not feeling it with this team.
All right. I agree with you there.
They have some players I like, but they're not deep because of the cap issues.
Yeah. The cap issues definitely handcuffs them for anything. And this team has pretty much put all their eggs in Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid's basket. And Cam Talbot, they need him to be like a Vezina champ.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, I'm not sure it's still going to be enough.
No.
How's that Taylor Hall trade looking now?
Well, you know what? They wouldn't be able to afford him with the cap.
Gag.
So actually, it still looks good.
Oh my God. I'm going to wash my mouth now. Speaking of mouth washing, Arizona. Their fans have had to basically, like, I'm sure you...
All three of them have been really concerned about this.
All
three of them are just in a constant state of flux.
I'm sure they've gone through, like gallons and gallons of Listerine over the last few years for the incredible non-ending bad taste this team has left in their mouths. The Coyotes. Will this finally be the year, in rebuilding year number 25, that they'll finally, at long last, make the playoffs and maybe rise?
The drive for 26 is on. I see them maybe improving a bit, but the drive for 26 is on.
Still just a rudderless team without great prospects to rise them into any kind of prominence or competitiveness.
Like a whisper in the wind in the desert, not to be heard of.
Oh, beautiful. Well, you'll be pleased to know that your prognostication is meeting with reality, because so far the Coyotes have played 2 games, they've had 2 losses, and they have scored a grand total of 0 goals.
This is a team based on a model of consistency. No goals in 2 games?
No goals in 2 games.
Oh, man, that brings back another old expression I missed. Pop gun offensive attack.
Oh, are they ever?
Not even a pop gun. Not even a Nerf gun. Not even a Nerf ball. Nothing.
So once again...
Like throwing paper.
Oh, I think paper would kill this team.
They could even handle the paper cut.
I think, never mind the paper cut, I think they get a concussion out of it. So still the same old Coyotes. Bad. So wrapping up the...
That was just right quick with them. That was just quick. There wasn't much to cover.
Yeah. So the Pacific, how do we rate this division? Like, who's going to win it?
God, this is a mess.
And is it Anaheim, San Jose, Calgary?
Anaheim by forfeit.
All right. Who could possibly challenge them? Number 2.
Calgary.
Calgary? Yeah.
I'm not really feeling good about any of my picks in this division.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a terribly strong division.
No, dude. I want to go next. I want to go San Jose, Vegas, or LA. A coin only has 2 sides, so I can't even flip a coin to figure out between the 3 of them. Yeah, I'm going to go San Jose.
San Jose. All right, number 3.
Then LA.
Okay.
Then, you know what? I'm going to go Edmonton and Vegas.
Ooh, wow. Woo.
I was going to go Vegas first, but it's like, yeah.
Yeah. So we see Vancouver in 7th then?
Yeah, and Arizona in the basement where they belong.
All right. So, yeah. I don't feel too differently about this. I think Vancouver will be higher.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I am not a believer in Vegas. Mm-hmm. I am a Vegas agnostic atheist.
You're covering all bases.
All the bases. If there was another ist I can throw in there of unbelieving, I would throw it at Vegas.
Well, if there's a good place to be agnostic or atheist, it's Vegas.
Oh, yeah. They are the Church of Satan as far as I'm concerned. So there you go. There we have it. Our NHL 2018 preview. Every team just like that. The winners, the losers, the risers, and the bums. Body, thanks again for another great show.
It's been a pleasure, Mind.
And thank you again all for listening. Please remember to subscribe and like our channel and our chats. This has been another episode of the Body and Mind Podcast.
Booyah!